All right, let's talk about one of the biggest identity puzzles in history. Seriously, this is a question that pushed some of the greatest minds to the absolute edge, forcing them to rethink the very words they were using.
So let's just dive right in. Here's the core question. How can you have one person who is at the exact same time fully divine and fully human? Not 50-50, but 100-100. It sounds like a contradiction, right? Well, for the early church, this wasn't just a riddle. Getting the answer right was, well, it was everything.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with the paradox itself. Then, we'll uncover the master key that helps unlock it. After that, we'll see how it all clicks together, and finally, we'll get to why this ancient theological puzzle still has something powerful to say to us today.
Okay, so first, let's get a feel for the problem. For the early Christians, this was way more than just a thought experiment. It was a full-blown identity crisis. Who was Jesus, really? Was he a god just wearing a human costume? Or a great man who God sort of possessed for a while? The answers to these questions had huge, huge consequences.
So you had these brilliant thinkers like St. Cyril of Alexandria who basically laid down the law on one thing. He said, look, the connection between God and man in Jesus is real, it's permanent, it's unbreakable. But even as he established that, he left this giant question hanging in the air. How? How does that actually work without one reality just completely overwhelming the other?
And that brings us to the hero of our story, St. Maximus the Confessor. He came along and realized that to even begin to solve this puzzle, you had to get your definitions laser sharp. And in doing that, he gave us the master key. It all comes down to two crucial concepts.
First up, nature, or if you want to get fancy, ousia in Greek. Think of nature as the universal software, the basic operating system of a thing. It answers the question, what is it? So, for example, you and I share the nature of humanity. A dog has the nature of caninity. It's the common stuff we all share.
And then you've got hypostasis. This is the person, the unique, one-of-a-kind individual who runs that software. It answers the question, who is it? So while our shared nature is humanity, my hypostasis is me, and your hypostasis is you. Same what, but a different who.
So let's just boil this down, because this is the whole game. Nature is the shared what that unites us. Hypostasis is the unique who that makes us distinct individuals. Nature is the raw material. Hypostasis is the specific someone. And this principle is just everywhere you look. Maximus pointed out that you and I are different from each other because we're different persons, different hypostases, even though we share the exact same human nature. And he argued, this same logic even applies to the mystery of God. The Father, Son, and Spirit are three distinct who's who all share the one divine what.
Okay, so now we've got our master key, this super clear distinction between the what and the who. Armed with this, Maximus was ready to walk right up to that central paradox of Christ and unlock it.
He says, look, there are really only two ways things can be united. First, you can have a union by nature. That's like all of us. We're all different people, different who's, but we're united because we share one human nature. But then there's a union by hypostasis. That's where different natures, like, say, a soul and a body, come together to form a single person.
And boom, right there, that's it. That's the solution. The union in Christ isn't some weird blending of natures. It's not some new third thing that's kind of God, kind of man. No, it is a hypostatic union. Which means Christ has two complete, distinct, and full natures. He is 100% divine and 100% human. But those two natures are perfectly united in the one single hypostasis, the single person of the Son. It's one who living out two whats. That's the formula.
But you know how it goes. You solve one giant puzzle, and it just leads you to another one. Because if a nature has a will, what happens when a single person has two natures?
This sparked the next massive debate. If Jesus is fully human, he must have a human will. And if he's fully divine, he must have a divine will. So, does he have two wills? And if he does, aren't they constantly fighting each other for control?
And the most incredible thing is, the answer comes directly from Christ himself. In this moment of pure agony in the Garden of Gethsemane, you can see it so clearly. There's a human will that shrinks from pain, not my will. But it exists in perfect, loving alignment with the divine will. But yours be done. He shows us two wills acting in one perfect, loving harmony.
Maximus has a word for this perfect cooperation: synergy. It's not a takeover. The divine will doesn't stop out the human will. Instead, the human will, by freely choosing to align with the divine will, finds its absolute highest purpose. It's not a battle, it's a perfect dance.
And so, finally, we get to the payoff. Why did we just go through all this deep, complex theology? Why does any of it matter? Because what it reveals about God and about us is absolutely breathtaking.
For Maximus, there's another name for this ultimate synergy, this perfect harmony of two wills. He calls it charity, or, as we would just say, love. Love is the one force that can unite two different things without destroying what makes them unique. It's the very thing that allows the invisible God to become visible in his creation.
And this is where Maximus just delivers this incredible insight. He says that when God became man, he gave us a living icon of charity. Now, an icon isn't just a painting. In this tradition, it's a window. It's something you look through to see a deeper reality. Christ's life became a living, breathing window into the very heart of God.
So you see, this whole doctrine, the hypostatic union, it's not just a formula. It means that a real human life, with its freedom, its choices, its will, its love, became the perfect, tangible, visible expression of the invisible God. It proves that our humanity, when it's perfected by love, can actually become an icon of the divine.
And that's the thought I want to leave you with. If this perfect synergy of love is what allows a human life to become the ultimate image of God, what does that mean for us? How does that change the way we see the potential, not just in ourselves, but in every single person we meet?